Live television is a strange kind of magic. It's unpredictable, unfiltered, untamed. No matter how carefully producers plan, no matter how many cue cards are read, no matter how many rehearsals happen behind the curtain, there are nights when the show takes on a life of its own. Nights when something wild slips through the cracks, a mistake, a surprise, a burst of chaos, and the entire world holds its breath as history writes itself in real time. And on that night, under the heat of the Tonight Show lights, behind the iconic curtains, in front of the most influential host in America, something tiny, furry, and full of raw jungle power was about to break the boundaries of late-night television. Johnny Carson didn't know it. Joan Embry didn't know it. The audience certainly didn't know it. But a small baby gorilla, barely bigger than a child's backpack, was about to turn a calm, innocent segment into one of the most unforgettable disasters and comedic triumphs in the history of American TV. This was the night a baby gorilla knocked Johnny Carson off his chair, live on stage, in front of millions. The Tonight Show studio had a pulse that night. A warm, electric anticipation flowed through the audience like static. People whispered to each other, sipping their laughter, as if sensing something unusual in the air. Behind the desk, Johnny Carson sat with that trademark composure, half serious, half ready to misbehave. He smoothed down his tie, tapped his pencil, and flashed that small, knowing smile that fans had admired for decades. Then he announced Joan Embry, the beloved animal expert who always delivered incredible, unpredictable guests. The crowd clapped enthusiastically. They were expecting cuteness, surprise, maybe a little chaos, but nothing beyond the usual, nothing dangerous, nothing legendary. But destiny doesn't need permission to show up. And when Joan walked out holding a baby gorilla in her arms, the entire energy of the room shifted, softened, warmed, and grew strangely tense at the edges. Even the cameras seemed to lean forward. Johnny chuckled, visibly delighted. He adored animal segments not just because they were entertaining, but because animals had no script, no filter, no respect for live television. And that was comedy gold. Joan placed herself beside Johnny, cradling the small gorilla like a child. Its big brown eyes scanned the crowd. Its tiny fingers clutched her arm. Its breathing was soft, almost delicate. Johnny leaned in, mesmerized. "Oh, he's adorable," Johnny said, eyes sparkling like a man who just discovered a new kind of joy. The audience melted into soft laughter. The gorilla blinked at the lights, blinking at this strange world of humans and noise. Everything felt safe, calm, almost serene. Joan smiled at Johnny. "Would you like to hold him?" Johnny's face lit up that childlike enthusiasm that made America fall in love with him. "Of course," he said. And gently, Joan lowered the baby gorilla into Johnny's lap. It was a picture of purity, a late-night host, and a tiny creature of the wild sharing a quiet moment under the glow of studio lights. Johnny stroked its back, soft chuckles filling the air. For a moment, the world was perfect. But perfect moments rarely last, especially not on live television. It happened in less than a second. The gorilla felt the new texture beneath Johnny's suit, the warm spotlight, the hum of attention, its own sudden freedom, and then boom. The baby gorilla sprang upward with the force of a small rocket. Its little feet pushed against Johnny's stomach. Its arms flailed with unrestrained power. Johnny's eyes widened. His arms flew out. His chair lurched backward, and before the audience could even gasp, crash. Johnny Carson, the most composed man in late-night television, was knocked flat on his back by a gorilla the size of a toddler. The audience erupted. People screamed, then laughed, then applauded hysterically. Camera operators stumbled. Stage crew froze. Joan Embry covered her mouth in disbelief. And the gorilla, that proud, tiny conqueror, climbed up onto Johnny's torso like it had just defeated the king of late night. Johnny lay there, blinking at the ceiling, suit rumpled, tie crooked, body pinned under the weight of a jubilant baby primate. Then he said through shock, laughter, and surrender, "Well, that's one way to greet a host." The gorilla refused to budge. It clung to Johnny's tie, stepped on his chest, and explored his face with tiny, curious hands. Johnny groaned with laughter. "Can someone tell him I'm not furniture?" The crowd howled. It was pure chaos, raw, beautiful, unscripted chaos. And Johnny did what he did best. He embraced it. He didn't fight. He didn't panic. He didn't break character. He leaned into the absurdity of the moment and transformed what could have been a disaster into instant television legend. When he finally managed to sit up, gorilla still hanging off him like a little jungle dictator, refusing to relinquish power, Johnny looked dead into the camera and delivered the line America would remember. "If he gets any bigger, I'm out of a job." The studio exploded. By the next morning, the moment was everywhere. News segments replayed it. Radio hosts described it frame by frame. Families gathered around their TVs at dinner to watch it again. The clip became one of the most iconic Tonight Show moments ever filmed. Not because a gorilla caused chaos, but because Johnny Carson handled it with grace, humor, and heart. He didn't resist the wildness of life. He welcomed it. He let it knock him down. He let it make him laugh. And in doing so, he gave America a moment of pure, unforgettable joy. Life doesn't always follow the script. Sometimes it leaps into your lap with all the force of a tiny gorilla and knocks you over when you least expect it. But that night, Johnny Carson showed the world a rare truth. You can't stop chaos from arriving, but you can choose how to meet it. With fear, or with laughter, with frustration, or with humility, with resistance, or with acceptance. Johnny chose laughter, and because of that, a small baby gorilla gifted the world one of the greatest stories ever told on live television. A toppled chair, a rumpled suit, a host pinned beneath a creature who meant no harm, and a reminder that sometimes the moments that knock us down are the very ones we remember forever.